If we may judge from the bust that has come down to us as part of the ruins of ancient sculpture, Socrates was as far from being handsome as even a philosopher can be. A bald head, a great round face, deep-set staring eyes, a broad and flowery nose that gave vivid testimony to many a symposium. It was rather the head of a porter than that of the most famous of philosophers. But if we look again, we see through the crudity of stone something of that human kindliness and unassuming simplicity which made this homely thinker a teacher beloved of the finest youths in Athens. Across 2,300 years, we can yet see his ungainly figure, clad always in the same rumpled tunic, walking leisurely through the agora, undisturbed by the bedlam of politics, buttonholing his prey, gathering the young and the learned about him, luring them into some shady nook of the temple porticos and asking them to define their terms. They were a motley crowd, these youths who flocked about him and helped him to create European philosophy. There were rich young men like Plato and Alcibiades who relished his satirical analysis of Athenian democracy. There were socialists like Antisthenes who made a religion of the master's careless poverty. And there were even anarchists like Aristippus who aspired to a world where all would be as worrylessly free as Socrates. All the problems that agitate human society today and provide the material of youth's endless debate agitated as well that little band of thinkers and talkers who felt, with their teacher, that life without discourse would be unworthy of a man. Every school of social thought had there its representative and perhaps its origin.
Why did his pupils reverence him so? Perhaps because he was a man as well as a philosopher. He had at great risk saved the life of Alcibiades in battle, and he could drink like a gentleman, without fear and without excess.
But no doubt they liked best in him the modesty of his wisdom. He did not claim to have wisdom, but only to seek it lovingly. He was wisdom's amateur, not its professional. It was said that the oracle at Delphi, with unusual good sense, had pronounced him the wisest of Greeks. He had interpreted this as an approval of the agnosticism, which was the starting point of his philosophy. One thing only I know, and that is that I know nothing.
Men of Athens, this reputation of mine has come of a certain sort of wisdom which I possess. Chaerephon, as you know, was very impetuous in all his doings. And he went to Delphi and boldly asked the oracle to tell him whether there was anyone wiser than I was, and the Pythian prophetess answered that there was no man wiser. When I heard the answer, I said to myself, what can the god mean? For I know that I have no wisdom, small or great. I reflected that if I could only find a man wiser than myself, then I might go to the god with a refutation in my hand. Accordingly, I went to one who had the reputation of wisdom. When I began to talk with him, I could not help thinking that he was not really wise. I told him so, and he hated me, and his enmity was shared by several who were present and heard me. So I left him, saying to myself as I went away, well, although I do not suppose that either of us knows anything really beautiful and good, I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing and thinks that he knows. I neither know nor think that I know. In this latter particular, then, I seem to have the advantage of him. When I left the politicians, I went to the poets, tragic, dithyrambic, and all sorts. There is hardly a person present who would not have talked better about their poetry than they did themselves. That showed me in an instant that not by wisdom do poets write poetry, but by a sort of genius and inspiration. At last I went to the artisans, for I was conscious that I knew nothing at all, as I may say, and I was sure that they knew many fine things, and in this I was not mistaken, for they did know many things of which I was ignorant, and in this they certainly were wiser than I was. But I observed that even the good artisans fell into the same error as the poets. Because they were good workmen, they thought that they also knew all sorts of high matters, and this defect in them overshadowed their wisdom. Therefore I asked myself on behalf of the oracle, whether I would like to be as I was, neither having their knowledge nor their ignorance, or like them in both. And I made answer to myself and the oracle that I was better off as I was.
Philosophy begins when one learns to doubt, particularly to doubt one's cherished beliefs, one's dogmas, and one's axioms. Who knows how these cherished beliefs become certainties with us, and whether some secret wish did not furtively beget them, clothing desire in the dress of thought. There is no real philosophy until the mind turns round and examines itself. Noti seauton, said Socrates, know thyself.